We have been talking about these incidents, these security incidents, particularly the ones that took place in Lagos, especially around the Surulere axis, and I think there was one in on the island as well. Is there anything you can tell us from the investigations that have been conducted so far as to what happened? The pictures, the videos that we have of burnt ballot boxes and papers, and then in one instance, the army actually had to be called in from the videos that we saw.
Yes, it was a clear case of political thuggery. So political thugs came in and disrupted the whole process. In a particular instance, they set the ballot box and the ballot papers on fire. So that's what our investigation so far has revealed, and some arrests have been made as our investigation continues.
Well, is that a single experience? Is that an isolated experience, or is it's the same story across?
Well, for all of the polling units where we had issues yesterday, security issues, yes, it was the same, political thuggery. People barged in on the INEC officials to disrupt the whole process. Yes, we also had cases that I wouldn't want to see as maybe exactly security cases or issues where people alleged that the INEC officials were manipulating results, but that remains an allegation because everything they did were in the full glare of the public. But for those cases where there was clearly security challenges, it was political thuggery.
Well, there's also that incidence of yesterday. I don't quite remember exactly where. I think it's exactly the same place Ladi mentioned earlier, where we had these disruptions, but the military personnel had to be called in, and according to reports that we have, the policemen were nowhere near. Could you tell us what happened?
Well, I don't know if you are referring to a particular polling unit in Mafodoku, because the commissioner of police.
Yes, indeed. That was the one that that's the one that we're talking about. That's the one where the military was the force that we saw, whereas the police were supposed to be the first responders. So that was where
we were supposed to actually be at the polling unit with the personnel.
Okay, so police officers. You said we're supposed to be at the polling unit. Yes, police officers were at every polling unit, unarmed. So what we're talking about now is the armed response to the issue that's occurred there. Yes. So there is a reason why the military was also co-opted into this election security, is to augment the strength of the police and other sister agencies. So I don't think it's out of place if the army was found to have responded to a polling unit. I will tell you that yesterday we received calls from many areas in Lagos State, and we had to dispatch our men to all of these points. We kept dispatching and kept dispatching. So it's not totally out of place if in one case the army responded. In any case, while the army was there responding, the commissioner of police also got wind of that situation, and the commissioner of police went there to get first-hand experience of what happened. And while the commissioner of police was there, the INEC officials begged to follow the commissioner of police out of that place because they weren't exactly, they didn't feel confident about being left there. And the CP actually asked them to get into the vehicle. We brought them to the headquarters, and from the headquarters, we took them to their office. So what the army did was not out of place. It's all together. I mean, it's all part of the plan to provide security for the elections.
Let me follow through with that. I know Millicent wants to jump in, but let me follow through with that, as you mentioned. What we were seeing on the screen just before my intervention was the overfly done by the commissioner earlier in the day to survey the metropolis, possibly identify possible flashpoints, and generally have an on-the-spot idea of what was going on. I know that the police command did a threat assessment ahead of the election. in the results, so many people were surprised that Lagos was a flashpoint, unlike some other areas which had been exhibiting security challenges before the elections. But I assume the police command were not surprised. What were the areas that you were expecting trouble from? And what did you put in place to guard against that, even if in one or two, people still managed to have the opportunity to cause trouble?
Okay, so we had quite a number of these areas on our list, which we shared with other security agencies. So we knew that there was possibility of this happening in certain areas. But don't forget that in the build-up to this election, we kept revising our security architecture, and we carried every stakeholder along. We made everybody understand, and there was absolutely no objection. We made everybody understand that, see, at the polling units, we won't have armed security operatives, because many people have complained that that polling units are too militarized, that there are guns everywhere, it scares voters away. Okay, so we would not have them there, but we would have armed security operatives close by, so that if anything happens, we would call them in. So everybody agreed to that. So that is not in argument. So in all of these cases where these things happened, I can confirm that once we got wind of these disruptions going on, armed security operatives were sent in. In fact, we were all on the same radio channel yesterday. Ordinarily, police, we have our own communication channel. We had to set up a joint operations room at the headquarters. The military were there, other sister agencies were there, and everybody was given a copy of our walkie-talkie. Our walkie-talkie, so they could listen in. So we're all on the same page. It was in synergy yesterday. So we sent people in. Well, it's you might argue that did not work, but it did work. Our priority was to preserve and protect life and property. So the response of our men to all of these things actually helped in protecting life and property. Because if we had not responded, then things could have degenerated further. There could have been total anarchy. So we followed exactly the security template. No armed officer, and when there's a problem, armed officers would go in.
And so can you give us the list of the polling units that were affected?
That's where?
The areas where these polling units, where there were disruptions. Do you have a list of them?
Yeah. We're still collating the security, the election security operation is still ongoing. We're yet to stand down. But yes, we had issues in Surulere, we had issues in Oshodi area. We also had issues in Okeafa, but like I said, we are still collating. So far, I have a record of over 20 political thugs arrested, over 20, and we also have over 10 polling units where these issues occurred. But it's ongoing, and before the end of the day, I should have a more compact list of these things.
Is the police in any way working online? And this is to curb fake news, disturbing videos, old videos, and mischievous persons who are trying to scuttle the process?
Yeah, we're seeing different narratives. We've been online seeing everybody declaring himself as a winner. This is totally against the Electoral Act. Only the INEC has the right, the power to declare election results. So we're monitoring, and we'll do the needful. We don't want anybody to heat up the polity and create unnecessary tension. So yes, to answer your question, we are not unmindful of these things, and we'll do the needful.
Well, just a quick one, Mr. Hunde, because I know you have to tee off shortly. Now, and I know that, as you said, a lot of collation is going on, and you don't have all the data now. But give us an idea of what the polling unit should have looked like, especially the layers of security that ought to be. You've said that your men weren't supposed to be armed, but we also understand that there's supposed to be an outer layer of security in order to forestall the possibilities of the things that we saw happen at Mafoluku. So give us an idea exactly what it should have been and why, if it wasn't so.
Well, like I said earlier, the polling units, unarmed officers, there is chaos, backup is called, and armed men coming. Now, we have 13,325 polling units in Lagos State. We had distress call in hundreds of them, and we responded swiftly and preserved the sanctity of the elections. Unfortunately, people don't seem to want to talk about it because they feel, oh, that's their job, they're doing their job. So the less than 50 where we had issues is what everybody's talking about, which is okay, because that is what is the news. That's against the norm. But to answer your question, on armed police officers and armed men respond. So we had many instances where armed men responded in time. We have this one or two in Mafoluku, like this one in Point now. We have one or two where the police could not respond on time because they were responding to another issue elsewhere, and the army stepped in. So basically, that's the setup. And we are proud to say that that setup worked in majority of the polling units where problems wanted to occur. But we had one or two where the army had to step in, yes.
Well, it's gratifying to know that, Mr. Hunde, and it's without, we Nigerians most certainly appreciate the fact that security personnel have to do what they need to do, even though sometimes it seems like it is thankless. But the reason we needed to mention that is for people to understand exactly where it's all coming from. For instance, the understanding we had previously was that there will be unarmed men, just as you said, but on the outer layer, there would be a constant presence of armed men, so we do not have any incidents such as we had the other time. And it's only when that escalates that we should have the kind of reinforcement that you are talking about. I don't know if that's, if I had it backwards.
No, we had armed men in the outer security, even at Mafoluku. But like I said, the control room was very busy yesterday. I was monitoring the airwaves myself. The control room was very busy. So it's simple logic that the armed men you have close to this place are not doing anything, and there is no need for them. And just 1 or 2 kilometers away, the armed men there would need backup. So it's simple logic. You move the armed men here to quickly go and give them backup. While they are attending to that, if it happens that they are needed here, and you call them back and they are not back yet, and the army is available, then they would step in. So it was all about making judicious use of the available resources to us. So it wasn't like armed men were not there. They were there, but they had to, we kept moving men around as the need arose.
The arrests that you said had been made, because apart from the Mafoluku incident, there were others that were reported where it was alleged that people came in and took the ballot boxes and the ballots themselves and actually burnt them. They didn't take them away. They burnt them and dispersed the crowd. In some other instances, they took them away and then the crowd ran after them and recovered them. We had a case like that in, I believe it's Alaba. We had a case like that where the boxes were taken away and then 1 or 2 were recovered. But then in the Surulere area, I believe Ikate now and 1 or 2 other locations, Akiele, Falolu Street and so on, there were people who came in, took the boxes and burnt them. I don't know if you have those reports and if the arrests that have been made are in connection with those. The arrests that have so far been made, take us through which ones are they in connection with, if you will.
Well, I would love to do that, but like I said, collation is ongoing. I'm on the headquarters now, and I can confirm that collation is ongoing. Now, every DPO, before the election even started, had the instruction to give a situation report as events unfolded, and even at the end of the election to also give situation report. So as at yesterday evening, I know that reports started coming in. So we know everywhere there were issues because policemen were everywhere. We know everywhere reports were coming in, and the arrests that have been made to, yes, are in connection with some of these disruptions and thuggery. If you want a breakdown of all of this, I cannot provide them now because collation is ongoing.
When can we look forward to that? When can we look forward to that? Because I want your commitment to give us that update, to come back and give us that update in the course of today. So give us an idea of when that will be ready so that we'll make provision for you.
This is 20 minutes to 10. This should be ready before noon. A
Absolutely.
concise figure of number of arrested people, number of polling units where issues occurred. Not one will be missed out.
Absolutely. So we will thank you for your time at this point, and expect that we will expect to hear from you thereabouts noon or shortly afterwards with this comprehensive list that you have promised us. Thank you very much, Benjamin Hunde, Police Public Relations Officer of the Lagos State Police Command, and thank you for doing your job, because I know you noted it that it's only when it doesn't appear that way that we talk about it. Thank you for doing your job. We're also doing ours, and we wish each other well. So we expect to see you a few minutes after 12 then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.